We do have grown-up conversations here on The Money with people who know their stuff. I'm delighted to welcome back to the show financial journalist, founder of the Young Money blog, Iona Bain, in the studio. Great to see you, Iona. We also have Jane Lucy. She's the founder and CEO of Labrador. That's the UK's first free household energy price cap bill calculator. Jane, great to have you on the show as well. Let's just start with you, Jane. You are welcome on The Money. We're all here trying to make sense of these upcoming price rises. Millions of households are concerned about them. How do you think it's going to feel in April when this 54% increase in the Ofgem energy price cap for households kicks in?
I think it will be bill shock, not just because 54% is a historical increase, but because for many households it could potentially be significantly more than that. So, you know, the 54% is an average. So how much it's going to go up could be very different for you. And in fact, we're seeing for some households, you know, instead of going up to about £2,000 a year, it could be in excess of £4,000 a year. So that's why we've launched our calculator today to enable any household in Great Britain for free and within seconds to find out exactly what the price hike is going to mean for them in real money terms. So that's the first thing is accurate information to enable households to know what to expect. Now, the second thing is what on earth do you do with those price hikes? Because as you've just suggested, the options available are essentially delaying the debt that you're going to owe. There's nothing really tangible in the market to help households with those increasing prices, save for a pay to save promotion that we're also launching through Labrador. And what that means is that we have identified a number of financial benefits that exist in the market, and we're exposing those and enabling households to financially benefit from them. So you can earn cash direct into your bank account through participating in our program. And how it works is that we are a data-driven service. We have access to exactly the same data that energy suppliers and the rest of the market have, which enable us to see how much energy your supplier has predicted that you're going to use in any given month. Now, if you use less than that, you're creating two different financial values in the system. First of all, you're protecting your supplier from even more extreme wholesale costs, because if they buy what they think you're going to use and you use more, they get hit with financial penalties. So you're saving them from those. And secondly, if you use less energy, you're using less carbon, which, as we know since COP26 and the transition to net zero, saving carbon now has a financial value too. So we're enabling households to save and earn sort of in the region of £270 a year, which is going to help with that bill shock. OK, Jane, thanks for that update. A lot of our viewers, a lot of the British public will be slightly ambivalent about the need to save carbon when they're struggling to make ends meet. We are facing a crisis here, aren't we, Iona? And Jane makes a really good point. This average price cap that we've all been talking about, here on The Money, we always stress it is just an average. But I think that message has been lost among the broader media.
Absolutely. And I think it's because price cap is actually quite a misleading term.
That's right.
Perhaps we ought to call it a rate cap instead, because it doesn't cover all those people who are on prepayment meters who, as we know, get such a bad
They pay
deal.
so much more, don't they? And they're often the most vulnerable families.
Absolutely. So there are real questions about whether or not the government's new measures to try and tackle this energy crisis are going to reach those families, because this energy loan is going to be deposited onto everybody's electricity account in October. But how is that money going to get to people who don't pay their bills by direct debit?
You raised the energy loan. I think we've got a graphic where we can show some of the measures that Chancellor Rishi Sunak came up with the same day that the Ofgem energy price cap announcement was raised a couple of weeks ago. So you can see that energy price cap. It went up from just under £1,300 to almost £2,000, affecting 22 million people. And the measures that the Chancellor came up with, a £200 discount from October, that's a loan, but it's, as you've said, Iona, it's a loan that's kind of you're forced to take on, and you have to pay it back over 5 years. And it is only from October. Then you had the £150 council tax rebate if you're in houses from bands A to D. Not many of them in the southeast, and still lots of struggling households.
True.
And then the extension of the warm home discount to 3 million households. Iona, we'll come back to Lucy in a moment. Iona, I suspect the government's going to have to do more, certainly for households in England. We've got the Welsh First Minister Mark Drakeford about to announce more help. What do you suspect?
Yes, well, I think the devolved governments will identify this potential crisis as another way to differentiate themselves from the Westminster government. And it sounds like this is what Mark Drakeford's going to do, because I think this is going to be the only discussion point, you know, the only issue on the agenda, you know, throughout the rest of this year. It's going to be the thing that all families are absolutely obsessed about. And I think the government is going to be judged by just how much it helps families at this time. And to be fair, it is a global crisis. Britain isn't the only country.
But our wholesale gas prices are a lot higher than other countries. We haven't got enough gas storage.
This is true.
Shouldn't we be exploiting the North Sea more?
Well, there are questions there, absolutely. And I think we could have handled it much better and been better prepared for this crisis, which was somewhat predictable when we came out of lockdown. We can't just expect everything to wake up and go back to the way things were. That's just, we've never done that before. So, of course, it was going to cause disruption.
Jane, let's go back to you. Your company, Labrador, is helping customers to understand the extent of these fuel bill increases almost before they come along. We know that April's going to come as a shock to many. What did you think, as somebody working closely in this area, somebody very much in touch with consumers, particularly vulnerable consumers, when you heard that government energy support package? Do you think it's enough?
It's not. And the other problem with it is it's not wiping the debt. It's just shifting it over a longer period. And you know, the way that the rebates are structured, they rely on the wholesale market recovering and prices coming down. And unfortunately, there are a lot of market experts that just simply don't think that that's going to happen. So, you know, that again signals that these sort of market solutions that we're creating at Labrador are even more important, because unfortunately, sort of the government programs and what we're getting from Ofgem, the regulator, aren't actually going to deliver tangible, sustainable solutions.
Very interesting. Jane Lucy of Labrador, great to have you on the show. Stay in touch with us as this fuel price crisis unfolds. We don't want to exaggerate what's happening, but we do know that energy bills for